This is for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. This is for the child that is searching for an answer. This is not just a war over stolen land. Why do you think little boys are throwing stones at tanks? And we'll never really know how many people are dead. They drop bombs on innocent girls while they sleep in their bed. Israel is a terror state, they're terrorists that terrorize. I'll testify my television, televise, I'm telling lies. How many more resolutions have to be violated? How many more children have to be annihilated? This is not a war, it is systematic genocide. But whatever they try, Palestine will never die. Free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine.
Hello, I'm Chris Williamson, and this is Palestine Declassified, where we highlight the struggle to liberate Palestine and expose the Zionist regime's frantic efforts to influence international policymakers and global public opinion. In today's show, we'll be highlighting the Zionist campaign against anyone in the UK's medical profession who dares to oppose the genocide in Gaza or speak out about the other atrocities perpetrated by Israel. And the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is assisting the Zionist lobby's crusade. Streeting wants every NHS trust and integrated care board to adopt the discredited working definition of anti-Semitism, which is little more than a Zionist charter. Even its lead author, Kenneth Stern, has condemned it, saying it's being used to chill free speech. So in our first report, Latifa Abouchakra lists just some of the clinicians who've been targeted by the Zionist lobby's malicious tactics.
Doctors and other workers in British hospitals are under intense attack by Zionist groups. Since the 7th of October 2023, the intensity of attacks in this area have increased. There are around 20 such cases where NHS workers have been pressured, suspended, dismissed, and even in some cases, arrested by the police. Here are the details of 6 of the most egregious cases. Dr. Nadeem Crow, a British Jordanian emergency medicine physician at Royal Free Hospital, was suspended and later resigned after an anonymous complaint about his social media posts criticising the genocide. He is taking his employer to an employment tribunal later this year. Dr. Crow said, "I do not feel that the NHS is a safe employer for any pro-Palestinian or Middle Eastern doctor." Dr. Tamara Ali, a trainee GP in NHS Scotland, was subjected to disciplinary action following a patient complaint about a small Palestinian flag in her consulting room and a Palestine pin on her scrubs. She is taking her former employer to court for discrimination. Dr. Rahma Al-Adwan, the British Palestinian NHS doctor, was suspended, referred to tribunal twice, and arrested 4 times. Her social media posts criticising Zionism have popularised the term Jewish supremacy. The campaign against anti-Semitism were involved, and police have coordinated with the GMC. The case is ongoing. Dr. Rayhana Ali, neurologist, was suspended for 18 months by GMC for social media posts. UK Lawyers for Israel made complaints. Her suspension was overturned after a legal challenge in July 2025. However, Dr. Ali has still not received a written judgment. Dr. Ellen Creasles, consultant paediatrician at Whittington Health NHS Trust, was suspended for social media posts calling Hamas oppressed resistance fighters. An internal investigation is ongoing. Dr. Ghassan Abu Sitteh is a prominent British Palestinian plastic and reconstructive surgeon and activist. He is currently the rector of the University of Glasgow. In 2024, the GMC applied to suspend him pending a full hearing. This was rejected by a Medical Practitioners Tribunal, MPT, in August 2024. In January 2026, the MPT fully cleared him. In October 2023, while he was in Gaza treating victims of the Zionist genocide, UK counter-terrorism police attempted to intimidate him by visiting his family home in London. He has faced other restrictions, including travel bans, preventing him from speaking in Berlin and Paris. He has faced legal costs exceeding £100,000 and stated that the actions against him aim at financial and mental attrition to deter others from speaking out. Make no mistake, the attack on healthcare workers is ongoing, and shows the extensive infiltration of Zionist groups and individuals in healthcare and its regulation, as well as the key role of agents of the Zionist regime in attempting to destroy criticism of Zionism.
As usual, I'm joined in the studio by the co-director of the lobbying watchdog Spinwatch and the UK's leading scholarly critic of Israel, David Miller. David's also a senior research fellow at the Centre for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Zeyn University. And Dr. Rami Aladwan joins us as our guest contributor today. She's an NHS doctor who's specialising in orthopaedic surgery. Yet instead of being celebrated for performing a vitally important public service, she's being persecuted by the British state at the behest of the Zionist lobby because of her public opposition to Israel's war crimes. But she remains resolute in her demands for the liberation of Palestine, despite being repeatedly arrested by the police and being suspended as a doctor by a tribunal of the General Medical Council. Rama, it's great to have you with us today. I mean, the police, as we just heard in the film there, raided your home on 4 separate occasions and arrested you and then imposed ridiculous bail conditions. I mean, just say a little bit about what happened and the bail conditions that they have put you under.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, so the police have arrested me 4 times now in under 3 months. The bail conditions that I'm currently under are a accumulation of all of the bail conditions that were set, and they are not to attend any events for Palestine in London, that I am to live and sleep at my home address, that if I leave my home address for more than 48 hours, that I must inform a detective, that I can't post anything that could stir up racial hatred against somebody's ethnicity, religion, and that I can't express support for a prescribed organisation. Obviously, the last 2 is just them telling me that you can't break the law.
Yes.
It is such a vague. Those are the 2 conditions that I actually refused to sign on in my 3rd and my 2nd arrest, because I said that's something I haven't done. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. No, indeed. But, David, these bail conditions are absolutely ridiculous, aren't they?
Well, they could add things like she mustn't murder anyone, she mustn't steal from the local shops, she mustn't trip up pensioners. I mean, it's completely absurd. But of course, it's an intimidation tactic. It's to make people think, I can't say this because it might be interpreted as being supportive of a prescribed organisation. So, of course, that means that you're not supposed to say anything about the legitimacy of armed struggle by the Palestinian resistance, which, of course, is recognised in international law.
Yes, indeed.
And not illegal. So, but, of course, what the Zionists do is that every time you say it's legitimate to resist, they say, well, that means that you're supporting Hamas. That's a crime. You should be arrested. And they mass report people. They've been mass reporting Rahma and many thousands of others of us. And so the point here is to try and pick us off one by one, to stop us attending demonstrations, speaking out in social media. And the lesson is that we must learn what we can and can't say and keep saying it.
Yes, and Rama, as we heard in the film there, I mean, there's been a number of doctors taken before the General Medical Council, haven't they? I mean, I wonder whether you might just say what happened to doctors Rihanna and Tamara Ali.
Dr. Rehan Ali was the first doctor really in Britain to get viciously attacked, I believe, and to that extent.
Yeah.
She was reported by UK Lawyers for Israel to the General Medical Council, who opened an investigation, and then she was referred to a tribunal. She actually couldn't attend this tribunal. She was at a clinic seeing her patients.
Really?
She asked for an extension and they wouldn't do it, so they did it without her. This was over ex post tweets, I think about 12 to 20. And so then she was suspended for 18 months, which is draconian. We have to just point out that this tribunal is called an interim orders tribunal. It is an emergency process. It is for a doctor who is so dangerous that they cannot continue to practice medicine and look after and treat the British public whilst the General Medical Council investigates them. So stark contrast with, for example, Dr. Justin Stebbing, who's a Jewish doctor who reported me to the General Medical Council. He was found to give the wrong treatment to patients. He was found to be inappropriate with a female patient. He didn't have an interim orders tribunal. He was suspended for 9 months at the end of the investigation, and that's it. So that's kind of the context that is important. But Dr. Ahana challenged her suspension not at the High Court and appealed it at the MPTS. She revoked her suspension in July. So she was suspended for 9 months and revoked it, and now she's back practicing, but the High Court are refusing to give a judgment.
Yes.
She went and she appealed this, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago, and they're still refusing. So it's outrageous, and I believe because that will implicate the General Medical Council.
Sure.
If you get a ruling, because what they're telling her is, you got your license back, that's it, leave it. But she's saying, no, I want to know whether that was lawful or not, that I was suspended. And we don't get compensation as well for those 9 months, you know.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Rama there saying this is outrageous. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable as well, isn't it, David? I mean, just say a little bit, will you, about Dr. Ghassan Abu Siti. I beg your pardon.
So, I mean, this is cruel and unusual punishment for all of the doctors and other health workers who've been targeted. But Ghassan Abu Sita, of course, I mean, is a heroic doctor who was treating people in Gaza from the moment of the beginning of the genocide. And as a result, the Zionists have tried to attack him. He was overwhelmingly elected as the rector of the University of Glasgow in 2024. And has been systematically targeted by Zionists reporting him. And of course, as we heard in the film there, the police went round and harassed his family when he was in Gaza, saving children's lives. So, I mean, this is a truly awful set of processes which are affecting anyone, especially Palestinians and Muslims, who stand up against the genocide.
And Rami, I mean, how are these medical professionals fighting back against this?
For example, Dr. Tamara Ali, who was basically ambushed in her general practice by her seniors for wearing a Palestine badge and having a Palestine flag in her office after an anonymous complaint, apparently from a patient. She was told this is a sign of terrorism for the flag. She took it up with the practice and with her deanery because she was training as a GP at that point. And she got nothing back. They didn't really start an investigation. They didn't allow her to put her badge back on. So she decided that she's going to launch a case against them. And I believe that that's something that's ongoing now. And I think her case is really important because this is not a defensive position that Tamara is taking. The punishment for her was taking away her right to wear the badge and the flag. But she's working and she's, obviously other than the emotional stress that she was put under. But she is now taking that offensive against that GP practice and her deanery to say that that's not something that you should allow. So I hope that people do support her.
Yes, indeed. I mean, these tactics are absolutely deplorable, aren't they, David? I mean, there's a lot of NHS cases that we've heard about. We've spoken about them today. I mean, how many other cases are there, do you think, in the pipeline that they may be bringing forward?
Well, there were 5 or 6 in the film there, but we've come across at least 20. And there's the famous case of the anti-Semitic fruit bowl, where an NHS worker was required to remove a piece of watermelon from their fruit bowl. I mean, there are literally tons of these cases. They affect nurses, they affect doctors, they affect people in private health as well as in the NHS. There's a case of a private doctor who was sacked from his hospital because he'd had Eva Bartlett on as a guest on his podcast, who didn't say anything anti-Semitic. Surprise. So this is affecting a huge range of people. Of course, there's also the case of Dr. Ranjit Brar, the famous communist doctor, who, of course, was arrested for selling a pamphlet with the Star of David and the swastika on it, an analysis of Zionism. So this is all the way through the health service. It's happening, and the Zionists are just picking up speed here. They're systematically reporting people and trying to ruin people's careers on a systematic basis.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it's kind of laughable, but it's also very sinister, isn't it, really? Anyway, we'll have to perhaps come back to that another time, but I'm afraid we'll have to move on to our next report now, which exposes the organisations behind the unprecedented witch hunt against NHS clinicians.
Who is behind the unparalleled attack on doctors and NHS workers? Unsurprisingly, it is Zionist lawfare groups. 3 are of particular note, starting with the obscure Leeds Jewish Representative Council. This started when, prior to a pro-Palestine march in Leeds, Simon Myerson, KC, as chair of the Leeds Jewish Representative Council, LJRC, raised public concerns on X about Dr. Rahma Al-Adwan's scheduled appearance. West Yorkshire Police, WYP, initially concluded no offences had been committed. Meyerson and the LJRC publicly criticized this decision. The LJRC, Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, CAA, and Community Security Trust, CST, pressed WYP for a reinvestigation. Simon Meyerson confirmed that he met with the mayor and the chief constable of West Yorkshire Police. According to Dr. Aladwan, after WYP initially declined to take action, the case was referred to the Metropolitan Police under the urging of the Zionists. UKLFI claims to be an independent body of UK lawyers, but it was formed following the Ma'ale HaChamisha conference organized by the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, MFA, in 2011. In 2012, Israel Hayom reported Israeli officials training legal experts around the world to deal with delegitimization against Israel. UKLFI has forced the removal of children's art from a hospital, tried and failed to have Palestinian surgeon Ghassan Abu Sitta struck off by the General Medical Council in 2024, and complained to regulators about pro-Palestine badges worn by NHS staff. In July 2025, the Charity Commission confirmed an investigation into the UKLFI Charitable Trust. In August 2025, two legal groups filed a 114-page complaint with the Solicitors Regulation Authority against UKLFI, alleging breaches of SRA principles through SLAPs, strategic lawsuits against public participation. The SRA confirmed receipt but has not announced a decision. The Campaign Against Anti-Semitism is implicated in many of these cases. It was created in 2014 to push back against repulsion about Zionist killings in Gaza. Despite successes in its early years, the wheels are beginning to come off the Zionist bandwagon.
In case you don't know, I'm being prosecuted under Section 127 of the 2003 Communications Act. But what this really stems from is a joke I did at the Edinburgh Festival in 2024 about Israel. You may have noticed in the last year or so, you haven't seen me make many public appearances.
In the case of stand-up comedian Reginald D. Hunter, the CAA mounted a private prosecution which was thrown out. District Judge Michael Snow was scathing. The application was vexatious. CAA's true and sole motive in prosecuting Reginald Hunter was to have him cancelled. Therefore, the prosecution is abusive. The CAA was not playing it straight, but seeking to use the criminal justice system, in this case for improper reasons. The judge even concluded, "I direct that a copy of this judgment must be disclosed by the CAA and attached by it in all future applications." It is time for pushback against, indeed the total closure of these lawfare for genocide groups.
Well, David, what about this Simon Meyerson character in the Leeds Jewish Representative Council? I mean, I assume they're connected to the UK Lawyers for Israel, aren't they?
Well, yes, I mean, Meyerson is a KC and was a part-time local judge. I think he's been removed from that post now. He's also, of course, been found guilty from his regulatory agency for abusive behaviour on Twitter, or X as it's now called. So he's a Zionist troll par excellence. He's a lawyer. He's also the chair of the Leeds Jewish Representative Council.
Raga, I mean, you've been targeted, haven't you, by this Leeds group, and I mean, and a host of other kind of Zionist organisations. Just say a bit about that, will you?
This Leeds group is really interesting, actually, because once you look at what they've done, you kind of understand how Zionist or Jewish lobbies work. So I was due, I was due to give a speech at the Leeds rally in August with Dr. Rehan Ali. The Leeds Jewish Representative group didn't want this to happen. They hauled in the Chief Constable, Chief Superintendent, the Deputy Mayor, and they said that, they called us anti-Semites and terrorism supporters, and that they didn't want the rally to go ahead. There were also a councillor, Leeds councillor and an MP who put out defamatory statements regarding both of us, saying that we support Hamas and saying that we support terrorism and that we were anti-Semitic. And these are still up now. So anyway, and they also, obviously, they spoke to West Yorkshire Police. So West Yorkshire Police didn't ban the rally. We went, we spoke at the rally, everything was absolutely fine, no arrests. After that, by one day, on the 17th of August, the Leeds Council put out a statement to say that they are outraged, that this was, they feel let down, the Jewish community, etc. And then they wrote that they want to have a meeting with all of those people that they hauled in before. And if they don't come, then it's up to national organisations to figure out if these people are doing their jobs properly.
Indeed, incredible. David, I mean, our film noted the links between the UK lawyers for Israel and the Zionist entity's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I mean, would you say they're just a cat's paw for genocide?
Yes. I mean, there's no point saying anything more than that. Of course they are. This is a whole series of organisations which were set up by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs after their attack on Gaza in 2009, when there was worldwide revulsion what the Zionists were doing. So they invested a huge sums of money and effort and institutional effort to setting up a huge number of groups right across the world, including in the legal field. And UK Lawyers for Israel was one of those. It was set up directly at the behest of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they were given training by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well. So this is just an Israeli foreign lobby. It's perfectly clear. But it also, of course, plays a key role in not just in the NHS, but also in the regulation of a whole range of other professions. So they attack lawyers and accountants and people in charities and all sorts of other organisations. It's there to ensure that no one will speak out against the genocide.
Now, Rahman, I mean, you've been targeted, haven't you, for referring to Jewish supremacism? I mean, I wonder whether you might just sort of say, why that term is important.
It's actually quite difficult for me sitting here to answer this question, and I think that's why that's the whole point of my arrests. They don't want me to say it. Actually, even when I came out from the first arrest, and I said that's why I was arrested, and the second time they kept arresting me for just saying that they're arresting me for talking about Jewish supremacy. I believe quite plainly it's because it pinpoints the underlying system of oppression. Quite crucially, naming the system, the beneficiaries, the direct perpetrators, and it extends beyond Gaza, beyond Palestine. And so people can, if they think about this supremacy, they can apply it to how these Israeli lobby groups are pretty much pushing that supremacy on them across the world, and people don't want that, because then you connect to Gaza in a completely different way, and you see the big power structure then.
Sure, no, indeed. And David, I mean, would you say the implications are that damaging, or what would you say the implications are, should I say, of that damning judgment on the Reginald D. Hunter case? I mean, it's quite significant and scathing.
It was an amazing judgment, of course, by itself, and we shouldn't take anything away from that judgment. But of course, it puts the CAA in the crosshairs of legal and judicial processes. In its early years, it's been in existence since 2014. It was quite successful in taking people to court, and some of its cases were overturned. One of the early cases against a civil servant, a diplomat. But other cases, they've been quite successful. And it looks like that once this unravels, that many of the people who've been found guilty of things after being prosecuted by them will probably be able to appeal those convictions and have them declared unsafe. But what it shows is that they are not a neutral prosecutor, that they are, of course, as we knew, politically motivated. And this court case says that in spades. There's been another case as well recently of the lawyer, Dr. Farouk Hussein, who lost his case. But in the judgment in that case, it was also said that the CAA was an active participant in politics and not a neutral arbiter. And so, so when they make the transition into that kind of status, then it will be very much more difficult for agencies and regulators to take them seriously, which is, of course, the object of all this.
And very briefly, because we're almost out of time, Rame, I mean, what would your advice be to those in the movement to take these matters forward and build a truly anti-Zionist movement?
I think the most important thing that we can do is extinguish the power of the Israeli Jewish lobby. And I think to do that, we have to name them, every single lobby, every single person involved, expose their operations and how they enforce this supremacy
Yes.
on us. And I think we need to report them. We need to attack them with lawfare and protest.
Yes.
And we need to just shut them down. Because in doing so, we take this pressure and oppression off of us, but we cut the supply line to Israel. The Palestinians will liberate themselves.
Yes.
We just need to stop our governments and our taxes from funding their murderers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. So I'd like to thank our guest, Rami Al-Adwan. And if you want to see more of our content, you can follow the show on X, Facebook, Rumble and Telegram. And make a date to join us again on Palestine Declassified next week, when I'll be back alongside David Miller with more revelations and information that you won't find in the corporate media. But until then, this is Chris Williamson saying bye for now.